Chapter 8. The Grand Victory of Listeria. There were very few things in Franklin's life that hadn't changed since his initial introduction to alternate dimensions. At first, he hadn't expected everything to be different. Certainly, meeting other species and having a beer in a pocket dimension had been new. But the little things, like watching television, paying the electric bill, or going to the grocery store, shouldn't have changed. But 5 years later, a therapist again at Vlachtermat and married to a woman from another dimension, Franklin realized the truth. Nothing in his life could ever go back to the way it used to be. He was even more aware of it now that he had to keep his wife close to him when he wasn't at Vlachtermat. She and the positronic deactivation switch were the only things he knew of that could protect him from the HR-120s. "All right," said Lyra, holding her hands impatiently on her hips. "I've been kind, I've asked nicely, now I'm telling you. Give me the milk, now." "I have as much right to this milk as you do," said a put-out-looking woman. "I'm a wife with a household to take care of. I'm a human being just like you." Lyra had been fighting with this woman over the last gallon of 2% milk in the grocery store for almost 5 minutes. Franklin thought about stepping in, but he didn't want to make the situation worse. Sometimes Lyra's skin gave off an intense, almost neon red glow when she was angry, and people tended to stare at them when that happened. "I'm not human, sweetheart. Don't let the exterior fool you." Franklin's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" Lyra ignored him. "I'm not leaving without it." "You can't have it," the other lady said. She was a heavy-set woman about twice Lyra's size, but was obviously still intimidated. Lyra had that effect on a lot of people. When she and Franklin first met, he had a sneaking suspicion she knew something very intimate and personal about him. He later discovered that was entirely true. Lyra immediately knew something about everyone she met. In Franklin's case, it was the fact that, as a teenager, he liked to fall asleep to the flashing of a strobe light. "I'm a Verulian. You have absolutely no idea what I'm capable of." "Lyra, please," said Franklin. "Not in the grocery store." Lyra finally looked at him and laughed. She flashed her red glow for dramatic effect. For a split second, her skin was bright red as if she had thousands of watts of electricity in her bones, and it showed straight through her khaki capris and her brown top. "Of course not, Franklin," she said. "I wasn't talking about that. It would be insane to do something like that in public." The woman holding the milk looked concerned. "Oh God, you're one of them, aren't you?" "Yep," said Lyra. "So you know exactly what I could do but won't do in public." The woman nodded slowly, looked around, and then handed Lyra the milk. "It was nice talking to you folks, really." She stared at Lyra for a moment and then sprinted off down the aisle. Franklin forcefully grabbed their cart, and he and Lyra started walking in the opposite direction. "I can't believe you did that." Lyra nonchalantly scratched milk off the grocery list. "Now it's time for cereal." Franklin abruptly stopped walking and stared her down. "What?" Lyra said. "You know what? You flashed her." "I did not. You know what I mean. And you told her you were Verulian." "She can handle it." "How do you figure? She took off in a panic." Lyra shook her head. "That's what I mean. The woman thinks she was abducted by aliens." "Aliens? How did—" "Oh, your intuition." "Exactly. I did the glowing thing to make her think I was one of the aliens, and presto, we get the last gallon of milk." Franklin frowned. "So I have to know, was she really abducted by aliens?" "I doubt it. I was getting the vibe that these were the crop circle kind. Most people, no matter the dimension, aren't really into crop circles. The best way to tell if it's a real abduction is if they're the kind of aliens who spray paint graffiti on mailboxes. The Wixians include vandalism and abduction as part of their religion." "Weird. But about drawing so much attention to yourself, I know how to handle people, Franklin. You worry too much." "You're right. Killer robots are after me. Why should I be worried?" "You shouldn't be." They slowly started moving again, and Franklin looked for the cereal aisle. "They've already tried to kill me twice," he said. "They'll find a way to get through you and Vlachtermat." Lyra smiled and affectionately rubbed her fingers across Franklin's shoulder. "But until that happens, you and I will just have to spend a little more quality time together." Franklin was still annoyed, but he couldn't help but smile back. He could never stay angry with Lyra for very long. "Just do me a favor," said Franklin. "What's that?" "Don't flash anyone in public again." "You sound jealous." Franklin glared. All right, I'm sorry. I'll only flash you from now on. Ava Krill's office was strange, but then so was Ava Krill. She had been at Vlachtermat several years longer than Franklin had. Not only did she counsel beings from other dimensions, she was obsessed with them. Her office was filled with treasures and trinkets from all over the multiverse, including a yellow fluffy floating hat she had bought in the Repzoth dimension, which she occasionally wore just a few inches above her head, a horridly graphic painting of the Grand Victory of Listeria from the Cowcat dimension, which was actually a massacre that had killed most of the Cowcat's ancestors, but since they had all been ruthless and unpleasant people, it was widely considered to be the best thing that ever happened to them, and a sarcophagus. Franklin had no idea where the sarcophagus had come from, but he never cared to ask. Knowing Dr. Krill, there was probably still a corpse inside. "A pleasure to see you, Dr. Bryce," she burst out upon his arrival. Helena was already there. "Miss Kathryn was just telling me about your epic battle with Dr. Grothman." Dr. Krill overstated everything, and not just in conversation. She was wearing a black and red coat with a long pointed collar that came up past her cheeks and made her look like a vampire. And she wore her thick violet hair up in the shape of a cone. Ava Krill was human, but it was hard to tell upon first glance. "It was hardly epic," said Franklin. "And Helena did most of the work." "She is extraordinary, isn't she?" said Krill. "You're lucky to have her as a patient, Dr. Bryce. I would almost kill to work with such a baffling case." Franklin looked at Helena, but she didn't seem offended. He had warned her about Krill's eccentricities before the meeting and had explained that Krill was a specialist in memory retrieval. The Unexplained Phenomena Wing had technology that might have helped locate Helena's missing memories or, at the very least, determine why they were missing, but nothing they tried had worked. So Franklin had reluctantly called on Krill to use her magic. "How exactly are you going to find my memories?" Helena asked her. "Perhaps memory retrieval is a bit misleading," Krill said in her high, shrill voice. "If your amnesia were severe enough, the memories might very well be wiped out completely, erased, trashed, eradicated. We couldn't very well find something that was eradicated, now could we?" Krill shook her head. "No, no, no. In these cases, we use magic to surf backward through the fabric of reality and find the actual events that took place before your tragic amnesia." "Time travel?" "Not time travel, exactly. More like time watching. I have a Matrulian skull. Quite amazing, really. Looking through the skull's eyes, I can find any moment of your life and then play the event back so you can see exactly what happened. I've even devised a way to hook the thing up to a big screen TV so we can all watch, and the sound quality is fantastic." "So it won't bring the memories back," said Helena. "No, not really, but it will do the next best thing. You'll be able to go back and catch all the episodes of your life you missed, from the comfort of my own home while eating a bag of popcorn." "And this is the only option?" asked Helena. She seemed disappointed. "What do you mean? It would take a long time to watch my entire life on a screen. Is there any way to upload the information into my brain, like they were memories?" Krill frowned. "Must you take the fun out of everything?" "Must every patient make that suggestion? I was looking forward to a good show on my brand new big screen TV." "My memories might be private," said Helena. "You don't know that. Who knows what you were like before? You might have been an open book." "I doubt it." Krill sighed. "Yes, we can upload whatever we find directly into your brain, but it will take several sessions. We don't want to overload you." "Are you sure her mind can handle it?" Franklin asked Dr. Krill. "She has 6 other personalities taking up space in there." "The limits of the human brain are endless," said Dr. Krill. "We simply don't want to give her too much information too quickly." "But there is no limit to how much knowledge can be processed incrementally. I put a different encyclopedia in my head every week. Granted, most of my thoughts are now in alphabetical order, but it's worth it." Franklin gently took Helena by the arm. "Dr. Krill, if you would excuse us for a moment." "Certainly, certainly. I need to feed Rufus before we get started anyway." "Rufus?" "My pet velociraptor." Franklin stared at her in disbelief. "Your what? You're keeping a velociraptor at Vlachtermat?" Ava Krill rolled her eyes and leaned against an unlocked case of sharp and deadly ceremonial knives from various dimensions. "Yes, Dr. Bryce, I'm a complete lunatic." "No, of course not. I keep Rufus in a pocket dimension. I'll return in precisely 4 minutes and 38 seconds. She pulled up her long sleeve and set a timer on her watch. Then she walked straight through the large canvas painting of the Grand Victory of Listeria, revealing the aperture into her pocket dimension. "Can you use this magic skull, Dr. Bryce?" Helena asked. Franklin held back a laugh. "I'm sorry, I can't. Don't worry, Dr. Krill is a professional. She's not going to come back wearing a red robot suit or anything." "I don't trust her. She's going to have access to my history. We have no idea what she's going to find." "I know, but from what I've heard, it takes a certain kind of mind to access the Metrulian skull, and she's the only person here who can do it. She's your best option." "You're saying that you have to be practically insane to use it?" "Basically, yes. I almost hope my past turns out to be completely dull." "I can see how you might." When Dr. Krill returned 4 minutes and 38 seconds later, she was wearing an entirely different outfit, this time a bright yellow dress with a matching conical hat and with a giant python slithering around her neck. "The right outfit for the right occasion," she said, stroking the snake with 2 fingers. Franklin looked at his watch. He was already late for his next appointment. If it had been anyone else, he might have been worried about whether Helena would survive her session with Ava Krill, but the one thing he knew for certain was that Helena could take care of herself.